And at the very end, I realized that my collar had come off, or was coming off. Now this is a button clasp too, but since it's got a ribbon, it's a little harder to get it on. And this is the first time that it didn't stay on. But due to technical difficulties, I already had to film this episode 3 times, so I'm not doing that again. I'll just keep my wardrobe malfunction. Hey there! Jester here. No cuffs today because I'm wearing Pom Pom Bracelets. Now, this isn't something that, on one hand, this is something that I did come up with on my own. I had been chatting to a friend about crafts, and the idea of stringing pom-poms came up. And then I looked it up online later, and of course, plenty of other people have had this idea. But I hadn't thought of it before, so I couldn't look it up before. So I'm just going to show you how I make them. Well, as you can see, you can use basically any pom-poms of a reasonable size. I've got one that's in different sizes, plus these little spacer beads to add visual interest, plus make it easier for these large pom-poms to, bend around and be flexible. And then I've got one of these medium-sized pom-poms with spacer beads I'm quite fond of. And then I made one out of these little bitty pom-poms, and this one didn't need spacer beads since they're little enough. Now, I could have put eyes on the front one and made it a big long caterpillar, but, well, maybe another time. Now, online, I had seen that a lot of people used elastic cord to make these, and I think that would be quite fun, but I personally don't really like elastic cord. I'm always worried that it'll break. And I like things that, last longer. On the other hand, elastic cord means you can more easily slip it on and off your hand, and it's a little more one size fits all. So I was just making ones that are, one size fits me. So the way we make the clasps on this one is, a modified button clasp. It's just a loop. And instead of a button on the end, there's a pom-pom. And that'll slide around and hold your bracelet in place. You can see on that one as well. Now, so what we need for this is, of course, pom-poms. I will be making one that's in a couple of different sizes. And we need, some sort of string. I've got this mini yarn. Full-size yarn would not pull through the pom-poms. And just regular thread seems a bit too weak for this purpose. So you want something reasonably sturdy. For this little one, even the mini yarn was a bit too much, so I used embroidery thread. Just one string of embroidery thread. But for these bigger ones, I have a slightly different system. But yes, the other things we need are spacer beads, large needles, scissors, and a little bit of thread, or, well, I'll explain the use of that in a minute. Get out of the way. So, step one, you're going to want your thread, and you don't just want it to go around your wrist once, because the beads are very large, so they're going to need more space. And also, we want this to be a double strand. So just give yourself, more thread than you think, or more string than you think you'll need. And we want this to be, folded in half. And the first thing we're going to do is make our loop. And we want it to be able to fit around one of these smaller ones. So I'm going to tie a knot in the end here. And that's going to be fiddle with a bit until it's about the right size. Yeah, I think that'll go through. Now, here's where it gets a little more complicated, because I like extra strength in, jewelry, especially hard-wearing jewelry like a bracelet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 needles for this, because if I try to put both threads through one needle, I can do that, but then the thread is folded up 4 times and it won't pull through the pom-pom. So you got to do this one at a time. And, glasses off time, so that I can do small things. Now, the next problem is threading the needle, and that's not really going to work. If you have a needle threader, which is one of those little wire devices, you can use that. But if you don't have one, you can make a little loop of thread and put that through your needle. And of course, it doesn't want to cooperate on camera. There we go. So I've got the loop there, and I'm going to put my larger thread through that loop, and give it a pull. There we go. That's one needle threaded. And now we need to do the other. My loop to open up so I can put the thread through it. There we go. And we give that a pull, and that goes through. Now we have 2 needles on our 2 threads that end in the loop. And I am going to start with red. Now you can't put a spacer bead on first because it'll just slide right over the knot. So we're going to start with a pom-pom. So I'm going to take 1 needle. You want to put it through the center. Come on, where you can feel where it's nice and stiff, because you don't want it to just pull out the side. I'm going to pull that one down. And then I'm going to take my other one. And I'm going to go up and do the same thing. So I have the end of my bracelet. Now I can take both, I can take both needles, put a spacer bead on. Now, I'm going to put a big one on. And then we just do the same thing again. Try to make sure it's not through the center. Pull it down. And again, go through the center. Pull it through. Got that on nice and snug. And another spacer bead. And the last red one. You want it to go in and come out at about the same spot, but not too big a deal, because the spacer bead will cover up any little problems. Get that on nice and snug. We get another spacer bead, and we just continue this pattern until we are done. Here we go. And last bead. And again, we don't want to end with a spacer bead, because this last bead is going to be our clasp. There we go. Tie off the end. If you want to be a little fancier, you could go back in and do the tie off down here, but I'm just doing this the easy way. I'll easier to take these needles off before trying to tie it. Once, twice to make a nice sturdy knot. And then make it a double knot. There. there is my new bracelet. I will try on as I get this one off. There we go. The main drawback to these is not real easy to do the clasp. Maybe this one will be big enough that I can just slide it on. It's a little bigger than the other one. Yeah, there we go. There I have. And there I have a pom-pom bracelet.